Hello friends, and welcome to Grumpy Old Man Fixes Broke Stuff, or whatever we're doing today. The front brake light switch on this 99 Honda Valkyrie Interstate is not working, so we're going to pull it off, clean it up, and see if we can get it working again. First, we're going to pull these two wires off. If you jump these two wires with the ignition on, the brake light should come on. If it doesn't, your problem might be elsewhere, but it's probably the switch. Now, let's do that again with a little bit better lighting. Maybe you can see better what's going on. They're going to come off easier this time because I've had them off once already. It won't be this easy for you, so don't get your hopes up. Next, we're going to pull the only screw holding the switch in place out of the switch. I'm working outside at home in my yard today because the shop that I normally work in is full of beekeepers and their bees, but that's a story for another time. I borrowed this screwdriver from the wife and, oh crap, I dropped the screw in the grass. I'll just use this one. If you're working outside and you need more light, there's lots of free light coming from the sky. While you're in the house borrowing the screwdriver your wife uses to chip ice out of the freezer, you can borrow her makeup mirror to help get light where you need it. This doesn't work as well at night, but you probably knew that already. Now we're going to grab that switch and yank it off of there. Should come off pretty easily. Let's go find a nice place to sit down and take this apart. Okay, so right here, here, and here are three plastic molded pins that hold the two halves of this together, and they will snap apart. I'm going to use the tip of my extremely dull pocket knife. I'm putting it up by the button, working it in there, and opening that up. And then I'm going to go around once I get an opening started, get as close to those plastic pins as I can, and unsnap those. Try to get close to them so you don't break this thing. Be patient with it, take your time, work your way around it. It will unclick and then it'll come apart just like this, and you can see what's going on inside there. When I push the button in and out, you can see a tiny little set of brass points opening and closing, and that's the circuit that operates your brake light. Those points can get a little corroded, and that's what keeps it from coming on, and that's why we're here. At this point, you can chicken out and not disassemble this switch any further. You can use a tiny strip of 400 grit sandpaper or some such to clean the points where they are. Just hold the button down so the points open up, slip you a piece of the sandpaper in there, and wiggle it around until you feel like you've done some good. I like to take it apart. I feel like I can clean it better that way, and it's not that hard to do. I'm going to grab the little pliers here and start pulling this towards me. Just working it around, and trying to get a hold of it, and grabbing it down here again, and there it goes. Oh, that's one chunk out. Next, I'm going to pull the little square plastic button out. As long as the big end goes inside the switch, it'll turn in any direction and work just fine. This little unit has the other half of the points on it. We're going to get it out of there so we can clean it up a little better. This thing will come apart. It doesn't need to. We can clean it up like it is right here. If it does come apart, it's not the end of the world. It's just a little tricky to get back together. You need a pick and maybe a tiny little mouse-sized pair of tweezers, but it's not that hard to do. But I'm going to clean it up right here using an emery board that I somehow found in the old lady's junk drawer. Look at this mess. There's broken scissors in there. Anyway, here it is. I don't want to take metal off. I just want to rub it on the contact surface to shine it up a little bit so it'll make a nice connection. Look at how fast I can do this. I should open a nail salon. That one looks good. Now I'm going to clean up the other side in a very similar fashion. We don't need to watch all of this. So now I'm going to once again use my pilfered emery board to polish up the spade connectors that go into the wire on the bike a little bit. Because a lot of times you lose connection there and the switch is just fine and it acts like a bad switch. So we'll get that nice and shined up just like that. I don't want to take a bunch of metal off. I'm just trying to make sure it makes a good contact. I'm going to straighten a little bend out with the needle nostrils. And the next step is to get a very thin coating of dielectric grease on these metal parts. It doesn't take much. Just enough, a thin layer to slow down the inevitable corrosion that's going to happen, eventually, again. Dielectric grease should almost always be used sparingly. This particular package of dielectric grease has been in my family since 1924, and I intend to leave it to my grandchildren. Now that all these parts have been cleaned and are glistening with grease, it's time to start putting this unit back together. And as soon as I remember how, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to start with the little mousetrap assembly. It'll fit down in here and push into place. Remember to be gentle with it because you do not want it to let go and come apart. Because of the position of the point contact, I'm going to get a trusty pocket knife here, lift that up a little bit so it'll go ahead and push down into place. Now it's flush with the housing. And the next thing to do is to put in the button. That way I can hold that down, hold it into place. Once I get it in there, I can push that down and it'll hold the point contact out of the way so I can get the other half of the points in there. These are extremely fiddly little pieces. That's why the towel's there. So if I drop anything, it won't skitter off into oblivion and be hard to find. I'm going to hold this button down now that I have it in place. That moves the point up. That gives me the opportunity to push the other half of the points into place and get it flush. Now we're ready to put the cap back on. Go ahead and line up the pins protruding from the cap with the holes that are in the unit, like so. And squeeze it together until it snaps into place. And now it's ready to go back on the bike. Unless you want to check your work and test it for continuity. I'm not your mom. You do whatever you want. Wow, what a great looking bike. Let's have a look at those spade connectors that hook back onto our switch. I like to give them a little squeeze with the pliers because they've been on and off a few times over the years. Maybe close that gap up a little bit so they'll fit just a little tighter. I'm not squeezing very hard. It just kind of looks like I am. I just did that for dramatic effect. Need a little drama in the video right here. Okay, here's where the alignment pin goes. Here's where the screw goes. This is the alignment pin. Oh yeah. Push the switch into place, collapsing the button on the back of the brake lever till the alignment pin goes up into its hole. Recently, a really good friend of mine told me that I could put a globber of dielectric grease in the end of my screw and it would stick to the screwdriver, prevent things from happening like dropping your screw in the grass. Can't believe I hadn't thought of this already. So put your screw in, put your screw in, put the... Now that you've got your screw started, having not cross-threaded it even the slightest bit, go ahead and cinch it down. Remember, you're cinching it into plastic. Now you can put your spade connectors back together. Hook those wires up. And be sure that the spade connector goes into the place that it's supposed to and not beside it between the rubber insulator and the connector. That happened to a guy I know once. We're going to check that one more time. Seems like a good idea. All right, now it's time to step back and have a look at your work and congratulate yourself on a job well done. Look at that. Good job, you.